He will wipe away every tear from their eyes, and death shall be no more. Neither shall there be mourning, nor crying, nor pain anymore, for the former things have passed away.
Good evening, lords and ladies of the unbelievability. I'm not doing a long intro today, but there's music. There's music. What the heck happened? Oh, chill out. I'm gonna get copyright strikes. All right. So today is the 17th. So it's 8 o'clock. And I'm really tired and exhausted from another 17th of the month because there's like too much stuff happens on the 17th, man. It's the day of contrast. So, yeah, for you who don't know what 17 means, it's the contrast dance between 1 and 7. 1 is Mars, 7 is Venus, and these are kind of like two timelines that run on top of each other, and they each have a purpose. So the one people, the Mars people, they're like guys, like they're like to remind everybody that they're reasonable. They're the reasonable ones. They're wise. And then the 7, they're Venus. They're love based. So they're romantic and they just want everybody to get along. And so every single day, there's a stupid polemic that pits people who are romantic against people who are reasonable over some bullshit. And then they bicker together. But then they noticed that there's people who were among them before that they're in the corner and they're crying and they're yelling and they're wailing and they're acting completely out of character. These are the people that this contrast operations seek to discover. They're the unreasonably hateful people. You know these people, right? Something terrible happens and they're the ones that are happy. But you wouldn't know that unless something that that you all perceive as being terrible has happened. So yeah, so 17 tech magic operations is the divide and conquer, but it's about discovering the unreasonably hateful. People who are not reasonable and they're not loving either. So they don't belong in the 1 or 7. They just they just get exposed. So every single day there's 17 tech magic operations which are usually launched by the media. But today with social media, celebrities can do their own tiffs. They can have their own Twitter beef whenever they want. So people communicate in a acrimonious way with each other, and then all of the people who love negativity, the archons, they jump on the situation and they, oh my God, negativity, my favorite thing. So, yeah, so that's the nature of social media today. But anyhow, today is the 17th, so there's a lot of people appear on the 17th if their ultimate job is to be a very contrastual person. So, we're going to talk about this today. I only have 3 people featured today, which is actually 2 people. But anyhow, I have Barry Humphries, who was born on February 17, 1934. Do you know who he is? Do you know who he is? So he's an Australian comedian and actor, an author, and a satirist. And I have two events for him. So 9 months and 12 days before he was born, there was Carl Jenke's discovery of radio waves, which appeared to be emanating from the center of the Milky Way galaxy. So this is a Bell Labs announcement. So whenever Bell Labs does something, it's very important because that's like really the source of all the biggest advancements in radio and also miniaturization, like transistors and stuff like that. We need this stuff to have cell phones, basically. So yeah, Bell Laboratories is always, I'm always watching what they do. And then on May 3, so I'm removing right now 280 days from the birthday, and I'm trying to look at what happened. So yeah, so Nellie Taylor Ross became the director of the United States Mint. So yeah, I attribute Barry Humphries to strategic people, like because of what Barry Humphries did in his life, right? I have a big story behind this, but I can't find the video right now because the search on X isn't working. I don't mean it sucks as usual. I mean I can't even enter information into it. Like it says, "Oops, something went wrong." So yeah, so I had a video for you where I was gonna tell you what the heck Barry Humphries did, but yeah. So now I attribute him to Walt Disney and also this is Myrna Loy. And unfortunately, I don't have the Myrna Loy and Walt Disney events. I lost them. Like I don't have enough time in the day to go over all of my notes. But now we ask ourselves, might Barry Humphries have led a double life? So, of course, Barry Humphries is Dame Edna Everage. And I adore Dame Edna. Dame Edna is like a weird clown. And I like I once shared the story of how Dame Edna Everage worked with Mel Gibson when he was 7 years old. So Mel Gibson was born in the United States, but he quickly moved to Australia with his family. So that's why people recognize him as being Australian. But when he was 7 years old, he was sacrificed by Barry Humphries. So this is not real. It's just like a rumor that was shared amongst people who are close to the royal family in England. Because it's when Barry Humphries arrived in London that this supposedly happened. So that became part of Barry Humphries' kind of personality before Dame Edna Everage arrived. And in order for Barry Humphries to be able to do this job, he has to be related to the Queen. And where does the Queen come from? She comes from Walt Disney. So Barry Humphries is essentially a half sibling of the Queen of England, and this is why he performed the cycle of the dragon, which is when like people get elevated after sacrificing a child. Of course, you've seen Mel Gibson, right? He's not very dead. He's just fine. And the joke is that Dame Edna Everage, in her show later on, she had Mel Gibson on her show and she put him in the sauna. And she did the interview with him in the sauna. And it's the smarmiest, weirdest thing you've ever seen. And it was really in this performance that I saw like the character that Dame Edna, is evocating, a super weird, smarmy person who is above, everything else. And the joke is that then, because of course, like you only see the door to the sauna on the stage, and then Dame Edna comes out of it. Mel Gibson's not in the sauna. They did the interview at another time. But then Dame Edna comes out of the sauna and slams the door, and the skis fall over the door to lock the door. So Mel Gibson, we assume, is going to die because it's so hot in there. So this was Dame Edna's redoing of the activity with Mel Gibson in order to disclose to the world what happened when Mel Gibson was 7. They do mention in the sauna that that's when they first met. So Mel Gibson, if you remember him, he was the sexiest man alive in 1988. And this is a celebration of a man who has, when he was a child, played the role of being sacrificed. And the joke is that he's on the cover of People magazine. So, of course, he's not dead. That's the joke. So, People magazine is the people for the people who manage the people who need people. So it celebrates all the actors and all the Ghost Army people who manage weirdos that come out of the woodwork whenever there's a rumor about a certain celebrity being a bad person, right? So Barry Humphries had to wear this for when in the beginning of his career, and then Dame Edna came along, and Dame Edna is she discloses so much stuff, like who Dame Edna had on her show at what date is disclosure, just like with Mel Gibson. And so you can figure out every single thing that was going on in London in the 70s and 80s just by listening to Dame Edna jokes. So it's kind of interesting if you're into that. Of course, all of it is fake, because Mel Gibson's still there. So I have the same thing for her. Isn't that cute? This image. So now we're going to solve a block in Xanadu. Because I don't have the information that I used to have about Isaac Cappy. And not only that, like the search doesn't work on X. So how the heck do I do my Isaac Cappy research? So maybe you want to play along. We're going to go in Google. We're going to do it with Google. All right. Google. Hey, it's the year of the fire horse. Happy New Year. Okay, so we're gonna do. So the first thing you do is Isaac Happy birthday. Right. So it's gonna say 2171977. All right. So then we do 280. Wait a second. Give me 1 second, because I'm not the new stream here. Woohoo! All right. 280 days before, and then we put the date in like that. I'm really proving you that I'm not telling you about. Wait a second. Is this working? Yeah, it's working. Okay. So I'm not disclosing things that are secret. I'm not telling anybody secrets. There are no secrets. There are no mysteries. Just people who tell you there are secrets and give themselves the opportunity to not work. Yeah. So you ask, February 17, 1977. No, May 13, 1976. So now we want to do Wikipedia, and then we're gonna go May 1976. So it might be, yeah, we have a monthly page. Yay. So now we're in the Wikipedia page for the month. Sometimes it's the year. And then you have day by day what happened. So then you scroll. And because I have such a hard time, it's 13, right? Yes, it is May 13 that I need to go to. So we have the American Basketball Association. So today I was researching women who have filed suits against Jay Z and P Diddy, and I was looking at basketball players. So yeah, that's kind of interesting. All right. So this is a time when I have a lot of people being born. No, you every day. All right. So let's okay. So one of the first popular arcade video games, Breakout, designed by the Atari Corporation, was introduced by Namco. All right. So who is the lead developer on this? I'm going to give you a few seconds to remember. Who is the lead developer on this video game? Breakout. It's Steve. So it is Steve Wozniak. He's the one that developed this. I already have this event in my database. I'm not adding it again. So then we have people who pass. So sometimes people who pass away, they're eligible for the conception of a memorial baby if they were kind of a big deal and they work in national security. So yeah, so Kenyan hotelier. I don't think that. So see, there's no picture. So I always look at whether or not the person has a picture. So see, we have an Australian connection here. Angelina Bonet. Okay, on the 14th, I'm just going to look at the 14th quickly. Okay, so we have an also a yeah, Jacques Chêne. Okay, so this is important because Isaac Cappy, his role is to be a murder victim. So we have a murder. So yeah, Jacques Chêne. I'm gonna keep this. Banker gets shot. We're gonna keep this one. We're gonna add it because then I'm gonna go into how people are comparing Isaac, as they keep posting. It's like Isaac is actually this person, Isaac is actually that person. So yeah, there is potentially a banking connection there. So I'm gonna add this. So 1976. It was May. Did I do it on the 14th? I found that on the 14th, right? Yeah. Okay, so I'm adding this because I know I don't have it. So as far as Isaac is concerned, his closest, um, his closest other guy born around the same time is Andrew Ross Sorkin. You might know him as an excellent friend of Elon Musk. So yeah. And he has, when I look at him, he seems to have a colomboma in his eyes. Either that or my screen is broken. But yeah, he has an iris modification there. So that's, I always try to notice the things that come from DNA, because this is something that's transmitted in the family. So yeah. So then I go back to Isaac Kepi. I'm going to go look into his events. So I just have a page where, I have Isaac Gabby's saved events for May 13, 1976. So yeah, this one. This. Do I have Jacques Chêne in my No. I'm gonna have to go add Jacques Chang. There we go. So this is the people who passed away. Now we have Royal Ingersoll. That guy is kind of a big deal. Keith Ralph, who was a blues rock singer and harmonica player. Keith Ralph is my perfect man. I used this picture in order to test Sora, and I came up with the most beautiful picture. This guy is very photogenic. I like him. So I'm gonna save cat style. Okay, so I'm gonna save this as well. Then my dog Shane. I'm not gonna have a picture of him, but this is interesting. Okay, so if I can tell you who these people are, so so it was the day that James Fletcher, the director of NASA, announced that it would accept applicants for 30 additional astronauts. That's pretty cool. And yeah, that was my dad's boss. Damn, Jacques Chane is not coming up. But anyhow, all right. So then the Rock Hudson film Embryo opened. So I just add that, and we have the student body. Cappy's not really an. Has Cappy ever played like in a high school kind of shenanigans film? I don't know. So he was in Thor, Terminator Salvation, and in Breaking Bad. So that's what I base my evaluation of him on, the disclosure films that he was in. So if we so he was conceived on May 13 and his murder occurred on May 13, 2009. Do I have his birthday in here? His death day. No, I don't have his death day. I'm going to show you things that I can do in here that's kind of fun. So this is my software that I've sort of developed across the years. It's not meant to be pretty. It's just meant to speak to me. And yeah. So this dude right here, this gorgeous dude named Christopher Polaha. Yeah, he's probably from Royal Ingersoll. Look at this beautiful picture. I love this style. That's gorgeous. Anyhow, so yeah. So actors from actors, directors from directors, murder victims from murder victims. That's why I would kind of like to have Jean Shane, and therefore I'm going to Google his birthday. 2 juillet 1928. Usually this is better presented. That do that, 'cause French, all that stuff. Go. Gonna picture of him. It's a good. Oh my God, it has to be when he was younger. There he is. Historic images. This is gonna be good. Copy. Just give me a second because I can't, like evaluate a murder victim without seriously looking at the murder victim who died on his day of conception, given that Isaac Cappy's date of death is exactly the same date as his conception. So he seems to be screaming, I'm from Jacques Chane. And Jacques Chane is a bank president. So the next thing we're going to do is going to have to do with a bank. That's why yeah, he's kind of like alone in his corner right here. I don't have other people. So yeah, that bank thing event, that's pretty interesting. One day. So that's kind of on the nose. Right. Okay. So we can compare him to his twin, and we compare him to Jack Shane. This doesn't work. Oh my God. Why? So it's pretty janky, my thing, but that's not the point. Oh my God. All right. So I'm going to let you look at them. Let's do even better. This. So what do you think? What do you think? Isaac Cappy was born on the 17th to tell us that he's a contrast actor. Then he blew the whistle on a whole bunch of stuff, namely targeting Tom Hanks. And then Tom Hanks acts as if he's wiped Cappy off the map, but on the exact same day as his own conception, May 13, which matches the plot against the guy who was murdered on this day of conception. I like this. That's how things are done in the Ghost Army to make sure the future can tell that Cappy's still alive. I miss him. I like Cappy a lot. I didn't listen to him that much, but I had a friend who was very, very disturbed by Cappy. Like he was very, very disturbed by listening to Cappy. And I think a lot of people were because he was really giving the impression of being under duress, and yeah. So the thing we can do is we can find out where he is, because he's supposed to be hanging out with his family of origin, right? Not his family with the same last name, not the Cappy family, but he would be with the Shane family. So we would have to look into the Shane family where they live, and then we can find Cappy. So yeah, or he has another identity. So there was one person that people say he was actually a Rothschild. There is a Rothschild guy who looks like him. So we're gonna go see this. Not Dave. Oh, damn it! I'm gonna type the magic word mayor. Okay, so it's this guy. So we're gonna go back to Cappy now. Gonna compare Cappy to the other guy. Let's compare him to somebody else. No, the other guys don't look like him. There's also Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon. Saint-Pierre is my family. So maybe Cappy is hanging out with my family in Quebec. That could be it. All right. So we have David Mayer, the Rothschild, with Isaac Cappy. There is 1 year of difference between them, and they, in fact, do look a lot alike. But is that proof that they're the same person? Right? So I will look at David Mayer. So David Mayer is the keyword. Like I made a song about Mayer. I'm gonna make you listen to it. I really have to play this because this is important. This is the moment of the mayor, but like mayor, like the mayor of a city. So this is the next step. So if I go into my profile, I'm gonna find my song. I posted a lot of stuff today, but it's not very hard to because I already have all this stuff. Come on, where's Golda? Golda was before that. Was before that. Come on. Okay, so now my threads won't load. Like Twitter, look, X is not able to keep up with oh, okay, it did it. Sorry, I hope I'm not busy. Because now I it's days and days. Wait a second. Why like that? Oh, for let's go do this. Let's go down. I don't know why it shot me to another day. You need to listen to my song. Oh, maybe it was thrown off the timeline. Oh no, there it is. There it is.
Myers keeps the minutes every Tuesday.
I forgot to click the button.
Myers got the clipboard standing by the door. Myers counting footsteps on the marble floor. Meyer checks the echoes in the hallway line. Myers keeps the minutes every Tuesday night. Meyer cracks a joke, keeps the tension tamed. Different spellings, baby, same old game.
All right, so this is the trick. If somebody has the name Maher, Mayer, Meyer, Meyers, blah, 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 you know a whole bunch of them, they're important. So now we're looking at a guy who's not that very well known, and his name is David Mayer the Rothschild. And David Mayer the Rothschild, you know what happened? He arrived 9 months after my dad did something, right? So this is freaky. Who else do I have? All right, so let's go here. So his event is when Greek archaeologist Manolis Androkinos discovered the tomb of Philip II of Macedonia at Vergina. It's and it totally goes with his life goal, which is he's an adventurer, an environmentalist, and an heir to the Rothschild fortune, obviously. But the Rothschilds are associated to banking, So the guy Jacques Chane, who was murdered, he was most likely in the social circle of uh of the Rothschild family. So there's kind of like a link between the two, between these two guys, between Cappy and David. But yeah, that guy, I looked at interviews with him. He doesn't come off as an actor. So they probably have the same mom, is what I mean. They might have the same mom. If I go to the 280 days, where's my 200? Going to show an error again. No, it's okay. It's just a dog's breakfast because everything's coming out twice. So this is my 280 days. So I have my principal in the middle, and then on the right-hand side here, I have 280 days later, and then 280 days later, right? And this doesn't really tell me anything. It just tells me that David Mayer comes from an archaeologist, and he's totally acting like a guy who comes from an archaeologist. He's a gift from an archaeologist. So yeah, it's not that interesting. Let's go back to Happy. Yeah, so for Cappy, we have a dad. We don't have a mom right now. So where would he come? Would the mom come from? Because that might be, like it might be the same mom as the other guy, David Mayer. So what I do in order to find a mom is that I look at films. So what you can do is, yeah, I have this kind of like an old film page here where I load this, but it kind of doesn't work. It just tells me what films came out, and there was nothing interesting, even if I select 10 days. So there was, oh, Solaris. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, yeah, that's true. This is also the conception window of Liz Crokin, who talks about Cappy a lot. So Liz Crokin and Cappy are from the same batch because Liz Crokin was born after Breakout as well. So we have Embryo, we have the Marquise Van O, and Solaris, the Russian version, and Grizzly. But these are not films that came out particularly close. If we go to Embryo, because we already put it in our events, and we have the cast. So the thing is that again, like if I want, I can ask Google super specific questions. Well, the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna keep my ladies because I'm gonna be looking at them later on, and we're gonna be looking for concordances for Kepi. So now I can ask films that came out on May 13, 1976. Ta-da! And Google is going to tell you what it is. Sometimes it's not correct, but yeah. I don't want the other films, just those films. So, The Wrecking Crew? No, that's in 2026. Okay, so none of this is good. Usually that's not that bad. Why is it pushing me recent films? So there's Logan's Run. But see, it's not. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. That's all I'm going to say. So The Numbers is a good film. This is the site that I used to use. Again, all the sites that you need are on the internet, and usually they're pretty good at ranking people by what's important or by week. So you get everything that you need. So we're going into May, and we're looking around the 14th. So The Swiss Conspiracy. Oh, we didn't see that one, right? The Swiss Conspiracy, and then we have Aces High. So Aces High, it doesn't tell us much about it. Cast and crew. Jack Gold. Do we care? He has an interesting name. And then the other one is the Swiss Conspiracy. That's more interesting. But again, this is a Jack Arnold film, and that's it. This thing doesn't give us much interesting things. The ultimate blackmail thriller. Oh my god, that's actually pretty good. That's a good film to explore, and it's got Elkie Summer, and so Elkie Summer, I think she was in other films like that, like the Panther, the Pink Panther, and stuff like that. So Elkie Summer, she's kind of a big deal, and so she would be the most interesting actress if I add her. So so let's say I decide that, like Elkie Summer might be my the mother, because the film that she made, The Swiss Conspiracy, is like super on the nose, and I kind of like this. I know who comes from Alki Summer so far, so I add her as a mom. Think just like that, right? So now, yes, absolutely, because this is the first lady, the one that's, the most important and we see the most. So Eleanor Roosevelt, she is the sister of my maternal great grandfather. All right, so Elkie Summer, yes, I like Elkie Summer for this. And Dad, so she's a German actress. All right, but I don't have anything for Jacques Chane. But if I go up from Elkie Summer, we see Frank Sinatra. Which this is a really weird pairing, like I will rework this because Elkie Summer is not a singer. Neither is Isaac Kepi. So Frank Sinatra is Frank Sinatra. His shtick was being the guy who has too many ladies for just one guy. Dean Martin also played that role. Jeffrey Epstein always tried to convey that role. Hugh Hefner, Bob Barker, Bob Hope. Um, yeah, there's a certain number of guys whose job is to always seem like they're surrounded with ladies and they have too many ladies. But Cappy wasn't doing that. It doesn't he doesn't come off like that. So anyhow, yeah. So I was expecting to find I'm expecting to find a closer connection to Tom Hanks here because he's contrasting with Tom Hanks. He was accusing Tom Hanks, or at least out of all the people that he was accusing in the very moment that he was doing his videos, it was Tom Hanks that was super hot right now and that, like had a reason to not want Cappy to say what was happening. So yeah, so the edgy comedian who says too much is a character in the secret society, and he's the reason why a hitman has to be hired by one of the members of the secret society. And then the murder happens, the media never investigates it, and the person who takes credit for it becomes above the law, and they prove, to the mark that doesn't know this is all, a play. The mark in the secret society, they think that, wow, like I've just seen someone hire a hire a hitman to kill some other actor, and the media won't talk about it. The media protects him, and when can I hire my own hitman now? Because damn, I got people to kill. So this is the idea. This is the lust-based side quest of being in the secret society with celebrities, and you watch them get rid of the people who threaten to out them, and you think that, oh my God. So now, like you want to be next to hire the same hire the same hitman and to get rid of your own enemies. So yeah, so that's kind of like the vibe in the secret societies, is that they have a cycle of the same old story going on again and again and again and again. So every year there's somebody who dies mysteriously, but every single public figure that has died in the past 50 years was on a schedule. They already knew that they were going to die. Some of them go into the witness protection program because they're too damn recognizable, like Michael Jackson. And some others, I keep finding them again and again and again playing different roles. So it'd be kind of cool if we could find Isaac. How long has it been since he's gone? He left us in 2019. It's been 6 years or 7 years. Do we look for Isaac Cappy? So what do we do in order to find Isaac? Like I said, we go see his family of origin. Eleanor Roosevelt has so many children, so many grandchildren that I'm not going to start there. I'm going to start with the banking link and Mr. Jacques Chêne. So now we have a dude. We have to figure out where he comes from. Where does this guy come from? Because he was born, obviously, to become a bank manager and then get killed. So the events. I don't have anything. So we're looking for September 26, 1927. So then I click and I go into the thing. Ooh, Babe Ruth. So now we go down. Of course, I've done 20,000 people, so I kind of know, where people come from. All right, we have the Geneva Convention on the Execution of Foreign Arbitral Awards. And that is exactly what we're looking for. And it's the same day as the Administrative Tribunal of the League of Nations was established. We don't even need to go any further than this. These are our two events that have a lot to do with our dude, because he's a beige bank man. And we also have on his birth chain with Romano Mussolini, who was a jazz pianist. And he's, of course, the son of Benito Mussolini. So is there a picture of him? Because that's kind of funny because, oh, did he pass away when he was young? No, he died at 78. Why do we not have a picture of him? Oh, that's suspicious. I'm going to have to look into him again. All right, so we go back here, we do this, and say it was September 26th, 1927. Come on, stop doing that. So I had trouble starting a stream recently because my button in OBS was being hidden. Like it was below the page. I'm like, I can't even go there. It was very annoying. All right. So now we have this. And we have to go and we have to wonder like who the heck was in charge of this. So then what you can do is I usually Google it and then it tells me, it gives me the AI explanation of what it is. It is so cool that I don't have to go on pages that are haunted anymore with pop-ups and everything. I can just ask Google specifically what I want. So this is interesting. Normally I would just go copy all of this into my article or into the thing, but I'm going to ask who organized the Geneva blah, blah, blah. No. I just want you to tell me who. It's telling me it's the other people. Like, yes, I know it's the League of Nations. Okay, so I'm going to have to do League of Nations. Well, the League of Nations, I'm going to ask for League of Nations first director. Because it was established on the same day. Thank you for telling me, Sir James Eric Drummond. Okay, so that's not that interesting. Wow, this guy doesn't really have a Wikipedia? Does he have a Wikipedia? No, he's one of these beige dudes who don't have a Wikipedia. Sometimes that happens. It's a bit annoying. But he does have what I need. He's a 17 guy. Oh well, So we're gonna add him to the thing. Do I want to keep all of this? No, we're just gonna keep Sir James Eric Drummond. All right, so now we're having, like you can see that across many generations, the same numbers come up again, the same dates come up again. So this is completely normal and to be expected. So that means that I did find my dude. Now, I'm very quick to say that I have success because I've been doing this for 6 years and I've done 20,000 people. So I know my classes of beige men, which ones are buffins, which ones are bankers, which ones are, general nerds. So yeah, so I already have him in my database. Look at me. Oh, it's because he changed his title. Isn't that interesting? All right, so I'll remove him later, but we're going to go to that page instead because we have his picture. So let's add him to the event. Add. Okay, we're just going to go back. Now we have acquired like many, many generations. So we're going to go to Jacques Shane and we're going to give him Eric as a dad. There we go. And now his father line is going to appear gloriously. Woohoo! Eh, it doesn't go that far. I haven't gone back further than George the First. All right, so now we go down to production. Isaac Cappy. Gonna crown Jacques Shane as we're gonna reload this. All right, so now we have a better picture. But does Elkie Summer still make sense in this context? I'm not entirely sure. But of course, if she's from Eleanor Roosevelt, and because everybody works in media is from Eleanor Roosevelt, but Isaac Cappy is a murder victim. Usually, Eleanor Roosevelt doesn't make murder victims. They usually don't come from the first lady. But people who are speaking into the microphone, like Andrew Ross Sorkin, are from the first lady. So he's the one that's probably from Elkie Summer. So what was the other film? It was Embryo. Oh no, I did have more ladies from the cast. I have Diane Ladd and I have Barbara Carrera. So Barbara Carrera is interesting. She's vaguely Asian looking. And I found that she has really interesting children. So we're firing the mom. We're adding Barbara Carrera and we're gonna change the mom. All right. The mom, yes. Oh, I don't have anything for her. Well, duh. She's a very pretty. So obviously, the film Embryo is interestingly named because we come from a family where all the embryos are adopted out. But yeah, so she's Nicaraguan, and she's a model, an actress, and a painter. And she was born at the same time as John Walsh and John Paul Jones and Diane Keaton and Jean-Luc Brunel and Gérard Faure. Okay, so these two guys here, they're the same dude. So this one right here was pretending to be the coke dealer to the stars, and this one right here was pretending to be a model agent working with whom Jeffrey Epstein invested in. Okay. So, um, hmm. There's a link to whoa, there's a link to Tom Hanks right here. It's Barbara Carrera. All right. So if we take for granted that Barbara Carrera was born like at the same time as John Walsh. All right. So let's go through this. You're going to hate me for telling you this, but I'm going to tell you anyway. So, NBC premiere of, okay, so Adam Walsh, right? So we have Adam Walsh right here. All right. So what I have for Adam Walsh in terms of, like who does it look like is this David Moscow. So obviously the picture of David Moscow is older than Adam Walsh. And what did David Moscow do? He is the actor from Big. So where, like Tom Hanks magically becomes a kid. There you go. 1988 film Big. So he plays a young teenager who wishes to be an adult, and he switches and he becomes like Tom Hanks. No? Anyhow. So, yeah, there you go. So we have our Tom Hanks connection. So the connection between the people who will, like meet each other in a dark alley, um, is plainly stated. I think there's a lot of steps here. I'm gonna try to delete those. Oh yeah, Barbara Carrera. Also, what is interesting about her is that she was in a relationship with James Bond. So yeah, so now we're gonna load this. I'm fine. I'm super satisfied with this, and I will complete this this exploration later on. This is something that I haven't looked at in many years. I want to continue the show, right? So yeah, we looked at Isaac Gepi, and now if we want to find Cappy, we have to go through the Barbara Carrera connection, and unless we figure out that he speaks French, if Isaac Cappy secretly speaks French, then we should look in France. But other than that, but Barbara Carrera is like 80 years old. So yeah, but this is something that can be explored. Like there are no mysteries. It's just tedious to find the answer sometimes. So there does not seem to be comments open videos. I don't understand why. All right, let's continue. So now we have 6 events featured today. So 3 years ago, on February 17 of all days, Vanity Fair used Austin Steinbart to inform their readers about QAnon, which is really funny because why the heck are you writing an article about QAnon? The only way in which the media use this is to say to their readers, aren't you lucky you don't believe crazy things like people who inform themselves away from traditional media? This is what the 4,500 anti-QAnon articles in the media said. Basically, this was the most satanic thing the media ever did, to write an article every other day titled something like, your neighbor might be dangerous if they're reading stuff on the internet. Your brother-in-law might be perverted if he informs himself online. It was always like that, and the articles never really explained anything. So you have a whole bunch of people who are terrified by the idea of QAnon, but they don't know what it is. They absolutely have no idea what it is. And my friend who was scared of QAnon and said, oh my God, because I knew what it was, therefore he was scared of me. Because he was told that people who know what this is must be dangerous. And he was terrified by the things that Cappy was saying in his videos. I personally have not watched all of Cappy's videos because, I just want to know who he's pointing a finger at because that's how I do my research. But yeah. So Austin Steinbart, he goes by Baby Q, and he's not wrong. So yeah, that's 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 what it is. When is his birthday? When is his birthday? We'll look at where he comes from because he comes from the beginning of the two mountains. So we'll look at that. This is when the Committee of Five held their first meeting in Geneva, Switzerland. Hey, the Swiss conspiracy. No, this is when the International Committee of the Red Cross started. So this is a Dunant, Henri Dunant. I know people are afraid of the Red Cross somehow. I don't know. They've developed this terrible impression of the Red Cross because they've seen a Red Cross in Kew and they didn't understand it and all that stuff. The Red Cross is really important, but it's the symbol of the Red Cross. Not necessarily, there's a whole bunch of organizations that are associated to the symbol, but if you look at the symbol by itself, it is the answer to time travel, actually. And I'm not going to tell you how time travel works, but it comes from the Red Cross. And that's why the Knights Templars have a Red Cross, because they're part of the second time around. They came in and they are fixing history. So they're time travelers. So anybody who's showing you a Red Cross is telling you that they're from the future. And they're appearing on the 17th in order to fix something, like to prevent Cappy from getting killed or something like that. Wow, that looks good. So 49 years ago, Ellen Brack, the 65-year-old multimillionaire heiress to the Brack's Candy Company fortune, disappeared after a routine checkup at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota. So it's showing it to me twice. Isn't that weird? So that's like billionaire heiress inception. So I was very interested in Ellen Brack, like who she is and all that, and because the event is on the 17th. But this is more like there was a guy that was suspected of her kidnapping and murder, and this is more about him. Like he was suspected, but he got away with it. So it's more about the guy who gets away with murder. It's not really about the victim, although the victim does carry some part of the story. 34 years ago, on the 17th, is when Jeffrey Dahmer was sentenced to 15 terms of life in prison. So his victims are adorable men who still look good, very, very, very good today. They're very talented people, and they've kept working. And so is Jeffrey Dahmer still working as well. He's working in entertainment. And you saw recently that Ghislaine Maxwell appeared in front of Congress, and people will say, that's not Ghislaine Maxwell, that's Mike Myers. Which is really funny because this is just like a presentation to everybody, just to make sure that everybody knows that Jeffrey Epstein is so powerful that he broke out of jail a few years ago, and now he's broken Ghislaine out of jail because she's not in prison anymore, because obviously the person that appeared in front of Congress, that's not her at all. So this is just broadcast signaling to the associates of Jeffrey Epstein to see I'm still I can still break people out of prison. So this is part of an audit on the Bureau of Prison. And so yeah, Jeffrey Dahmer, the Ghost Army people, they do the importance of being earnest goes to prison. This is the most important mission in the Ghost Army, is to go to prison. Because the people, the jailbirds, they're canaries in a coal mine, and they make everything real. By going to jail, it makes everything that they did real. Some of them break out of prison and then they work as a hitman or something. But we don't necessarily see all these stories. We really have to look into the details in order to find these storylines. But he was murdered in prison 2 years later because and he's not dead. But because when you go to prison, when you do it comes from Oscar Wilde. He was sentenced to 2 years in the workhouse for indecent activities with another man. And so that's 2 years maximum. So it's often 2 years that the Ghost Army soldiers spend in prison, or like after 2 years, somebody else might go in order to take their place. But nobody's asking where the prisoners are ever, ever, ever. Have you checked where Paul Bernardo is recently? Because I've been watching him around doing stuff, and he's not in prison. Who the fuck left Paul Bernardo out of prison? Because he's still working, and yeah. So people like that, they often continue to play a hitman or a killer, but Jeffrey Dahmer is not. All right. So so see, this is old. So 1753, 273 years ago. So, wait, okay. So that's when the concept of electrical telegraphy was first published in the form of a letter to Scott's Magazine from a writer who identified himself only as CM, right? So this is an important advancement that triggers, like tests and innovation as fast as possible. So William Smellie is the editor of Encyclopedia Britannica, and he is one of the most important historical figures in terms of invention and innovation. Because to me, Encyclopedia Britannica is like the Orange Bible. It's like if we are a civilization that came here from another place, the other place had Encyclopedia Britannica, and what it says is the upmost order of how you're supposed to invent everything, right? So Encyclopedia Britannica is like super duper duper important. Like it has all the necessary things to understand the past in it, and I like it very much. And it's a time travel mystery for me as well. So yeah, so that's from William Smellie. So Pope Pius XII, who is, who knows what 17 means. So he decided to announce Saint Clair as the patron saint of television on that date. And I wanted to find the quote that is attributed to him from that day about how it's important to make TV shows because television has the power to influence young people. So yeah, so he was completely on board with the 20th century, making TV shows, movies, and music about everything. So I have doppelgangers. I hope they show up correctly. So yeah, so we looked at these two before. Elizabeth Bisland is a woman who she raced around the world against Nellie Bly, but she didn't win. Now I have Joseph Murgas and William L. Kenley. Oh, I forgot to add a title for Joseph. But anyhow, they were born on the same day. When people are born on the same day, it's important. So you have a clergyman on the right, and you have a military man on the left side. He was a major general. Oh, he was the leader of the United States Army Air Service. So yeah, the guy from before the Air Force. This guy is super important. Mr. McClure, SS McClure, born on February 17. What do you think he's doing for a living? Does it have anything to do with the media creating contrast in the world? He's an Irish-American publisher who became known as a key figure in investigative or muckraking journalism. See? That's exactly what a guy born on the 17th does. On the left, you have Robert Baden-Powell. You know him. He founded the Scouts. It's beautiful painting. I love it. Well, that's, it's an AI generated thing that looks like a painting. But yeah. I used to be in the Girl Scouts, but in Quebec, we call them Jeannette. And I was the team leader of one of the 3 subgroups. Kind of fun, because I was older than everybody else. André. This is André Norton. The lady. She's an American writer of science fiction, fantasy, historical, and contemporary fiction. And she made one of my favorite films, The Beastmaster. I seen this like 10 times when I was younger. So she was born within 4 days of Margaretta Scott. Now, they're not photographed at the same time in their life, so, but I think that they look very much alike. As far as I can tell, they're not the same person, but yeah. English, stage, screen, and television actress. 70 years. So she was on screen all the time. So see, one in the United States, one in England. And they work their entire life and nobody notices that they look just about the same. Oh, Nicholas Nabokov on the 17th. So he composed Holy Devil. And the other guy was born on the same days also. A Russian musical man, Gregor. And is a Ukrainian-American cellist. You should always pay attention to people who say they're Ukrainian, because invariably they are somewhat tied, or they're somewhat tied to the social group that is promoting the idea of Jeffrey Epstein's human factory in Ukraine. Didn't you know that Jeffrey Epstein has a human factory in Ukraine? Oh, you didn't know that? Nobody talks about it, of course. All right, so then we have Arthur Kennedy. So he was a favorite of Arthur Miller. And John Daly. Do you remember John Daly? For What's My Line? So What's My Line? That's a very important TV show. 100% of it is disclosure. It is purposefully scheduled. Who shows up on the show, on what date is important. And all of the people whom the panel guesses, like the people who come in and write their name on the board and say what they do, and the panel tries to guess, all of these people are being presented. They're being presented as trustworthy people who are associated to a national security role. Therefore, people all around the United States, they watch What's My Line, and they get to see the people they can trust and they can go to, because they're also newly minted people with national security training. So yeah, that's how people are introduced. And so I followed some of the people who get introduced on What's My Line, and I found really interesting things. They work in security positions. This is Thomas J. Watson, one of the co-founders of IBM. And on the left is Ernest Shackleton. who was they were born within 2 days. So he was an explorer. So Thomas J. Watson is one of the most important computer scientists in history. And on the right, Ernest Shackleton is an explorer class asset of the Queen. So this is the guy on the right who has the most the biggest security clearance in the world, because by default the explorers will come across things that are kind of mysterious. And so they report that to the Queen. And it is the Queen that decides, okay, well, we can tell people about this, but this other thing, we're going to deal with it before we tell people, you know. So that was my doppelgangers for today. In the extra, I don't really have anything in the extra. Yeah. So that was my presentation for today. Do I have things to gossip about? Did I want to mention something? Not really. Like, tomorrow, what's going to be happening tomorrow? Let me here can tell you about what to watch for tomorrow, or maybe you can research it before I get to it, so that when I do the thing tomorrow, you will already know the answer. Tomorrow is February 18, 2026. Yes, that's true. Tomorrow is Pauline Reed's birthday. I have John Travolta, Molly Ringwald, and Vanna White. Um, Not necessarily that controversial figures, but I already have 4 sets of doppelgangers that I've set up. Oh, tomorrow is when the patent for the Statue of Liberty was issued. And it's the date of death of Michelangelo. Yeah. So tomorrow, tomorrow will be interesting. Oh, right now, yeah, tomorrow is the anniversary of that dinner that Obama had with the tech executives in 2011. So, yeah, we might look into that. But all of these are, you know, like the tech people, the tech titans, they're still busy. So if, you know, like if, I guess everybody's always saying, oh, Reed Hastings, and all that stuff. Well, this is actually supporting them in their work to make the people they hang out with speak more freely, right? Every single time you accuse somebody of being satanic, you're actually helping promote them to awful people. So maybe you see an enemy, but the more you accuse the enemy of being satanic, the more they seem attractive to the people they're trying to honeypot. So thank you for always, always accusing people on the internet, because they don't have to do anything. If a million people are pointing their fingers at Tom Hanks, says, Tom Hanks killed Isaac Cappy, you know, what does that do? It just promotes Tom Hanks to people who want to get rid of the people they don't like. It promotes him as being above the law. So yeah, there you have never seen an actual target of the operations that have been going on for years, which is really weird. I find that very, very frustrating, because I know, like, it's very hard to describe the enemy of humanity to an audience when we're not allowed to see them. And that means that they're somewhat different than us. Well, they're not exactly human in the same way that we are. The army calls them the dead, or well, no, the artists call them the dead because they know that these people don't laugh at jokes, so it's like the enemy of humanity is completely humorless. They don't understand humor. They don't understand love. So it's like kind of like a sociopathy or incapacity to be human. So that's why the artists, the clowns, call the enemy of humanity the dead, because they're the ones telling jokes at people in an audience, and they can spot who doesn't understand what a joke is, right? So it doesn't mean that all the boring, unfunny people are the enemy of humanity. It just means that, like this is one thing that you can, if you're telling jokes all the time, you know what I mean, right? And so the other thing that the enemy wants to do is more like a Patrick Bateman type of person. So they want to hurt other people because that's their hobby, but they really want to get away with it. So if they see someone, like we see someone who seems to be getting away with murder, and it makes us enraged and mad, right? But when the enemy sees somebody who's getting away with murder, like, oh my God, I need to be in this guy's friends group. And they start making their way towards this public figure. So this is how the honeypot system works. And it works very well. And it's not random. There's a pipeline for this. And so the people around Queen Elizabeth, around the royal families, they already know who the assholes are because the assholes are harassing the royal families. That's why we can't have a world that's run by royal families, because royal families are ill-equipped to deal with the insane harassment and violence of the people who use their name in order to run organized crime uh, networks. So that why the only good king is the last one. So I don't know if Charles is going to be the last king of England or if it's going to be William, but all of the royal families in the world have pledged to get off the pot or get off the throne, move to a more modern way of uh, administration, join the world thing, the UN and all that. And this makes it impossible for the people who usually harass royal families to do it, because it's not going to give them anything. They have to go through the UN. So it's the UN that has been running the yearly, weird party cycle before all of their get-togethers, and this functions as kind of like a corridor to their doom of the worst people in each country. So people are like, I've noticed that it's always the best person for the job that is doing this, and so the children who the people who are in the 22 secret societies of the same characters running the same stories every year since 1980, they're from the highest, most important national security professional in their country, in a country, or in their allies, or they're from the prime minister, or they're from the pope, or they're from the queen. And then each one of these people has different functions, right? So since Isaac Cappy, whom we looked at, is a murder victim who comes from a murder victim with date match going across 3 generations, I needed to find the mom for him that kind of conveys the storyline of the victim, the murder victim. And I found her. I found her because she seems to be a person who took care of young people who were playing the role of the murder victim. So yeah, the this is something that you can look into further, because when I'm doing my presentation, I'm not showing you the Wikipedia where I look at the early life description of the people. This is usually what I find the most interesting, and it will have a certain explanation of who their parents are. Because your mom is the most important person in the story, the person who raises the children, right? There are tens of thousands of families that emanate from the Universal Exhibition Network who have, across 3 to 4 generations, adopted children from the network rather than have their own. And they they know that the children that they receive after they're raised and sent to university, they're going to get mentored into a bleeding edge technology company, or they might get a film from an uncle or something like that. And so there's a huge advantage to taking in children from the National Security and Universal Exhibition Network, um, because they will do something fun and great in their life, and they'll get mentorship and they'll get opportunities. They might refuse all of that, like I have refused all of my mentorship and opportunities, but um but most people accept because like it's highly interesting to have a career in technology and media. So I've worked in technology and media, but on my own. Like I've never had a mentor. I've never received bursaries or prizes or money in my life. I've never received any gifts, you know. And I live on $12,000 a year. I'm on my 7th year of doing this. If I calculate, no, 26th year of doing this. I was only supposed to do this for 5 years because it's expensive to be retired. But, for now, I guess I'm okay. I heard that some people on the internet make money because whatever, so I set up a Patreon, and my Patreon is maxed because my conversion rate in my Patreon is over 10%. So that's way more than most people. So at I only get a few new followers every week. Sometimes I don't get new followers at all because I'm not in the network of people who are controlling 100% of the truther base on X. So none of these people could ever acknowledge that I exist, give me an interview, share me on their page, or talk about me. So within this context, it's not likely that I will ever have more than one viewer for my streams, and that viewer is myself. But as you can see, I continue to do this work every single day because it provides way more wow, and oh my God, and what the fuck, than anything else. And it's all positive stuff. I mean, I know I'm looking into people who are murdered and all that, but I know that they're just fine. I know that they're fine. So it doesn't affect me like this. It's better to look at this and do this than read, like people's insane takes on the Jeffrey Epstein emails on X. I mean, this is like, it's insufferable at this point. So I hope that you have a good night, my dear lords and ladies of the unbelievability, and I will see you tomorrow.